Hey Hillary, I love this topic today for the glow up because we're doing the thing we spend all day working with individual clients on, which is their GI health. So one of the most important things for our health is working on our guts. I think everyone's starting to realize that, and you and I had a big focus on this all through medical school, which is really unusual, and that was 20 years ago. So pretty cool, right? More? Wait, don't say that. Don't say that. But I'm telling you, it's really incredible that even like teenagers are telling me, well, I know my gut is like the basis of my health. It's really it's people really get this. Like you are what you eat is a real thing. And
It's
what we're
super
doing
awesome.
today supports it. Yeah, it's great.
It's super awesome. And the way we keep ourselves glowing is if we have a really great microbiome. Now, I will say, I do think I get a little stressed if we have had people who delay some of their health care just working on their gut. So I don't think it's like the only thing you can do. Like if you have Hashimoto's or if you're having fertility issues, we've seen people who are like just working on their gut, working on their gut, working on their gut. And it's one of those things where you want to make sure that you're taking care of your healthcare in the midst. So if you're perimenopausal or menopausal, working on your gut is not going to take care of your hormone deficiencies. It will help your digestion, it will help your elimination, but you still have other processes. So I just want to say that one caveat because I think there's a lot of health coaches online that are like, if you just take care of your gut, everything's going to be perfect. And of course, we're more complicated than that. So I just like to say that because, like I said, it breaks my heart if we have patients who have been like following only gut health care and then other things slide. And you know what I mean?
But so it is a huge part of it. Very often it is a huge part of it. Very often we will get so far by fixing people's diets and probiotic status that if you can do everything else, and if you don't do this thing, it will be the cog in the wheel. Like it will block you from feeling your best. So we do absolutely have to have this as part of the picture. You and I are tough because it's never one thing for us, right? It's all of the little pieces because we see all the little pieces. So it's never no one's going to watch and be like, that's the one thing I have to do, because it's not. It's
that's
all
why we're
along.
trying to show it, right? Like it's your mental health, it's your gut health, it's you're taking antioxidants, working on your detox. So health and having a healthy glow is super multi-factorial. But said, we have a lot of patients, and Kara and I did this really interesting. We ran a group a couple months ago, which was food sensitivity testing, which is not perfect science, but it is a fantastic start to assess your gut health. It is a fantastic screening exam, and it changes in space and time, meaning that like as you age, the way that you respond to foods changes. It changes after you've recovered from a big virus. So what we're noticing is in a post-COVID world, we're retesting the majority of our patients because a lot of people are having gut issues that they didn't previously have. And COVID was just an extraordinarily hard virus on the GI tract, even if you didn't present with GI symptoms. So many people had a mild COVID experience, and yet they still had GI issues. Other people had COVID, went straight to their gut like you. But like in a post-COVID world, I'm somebody who didn't have any GI issues. And after the spike protein being around me and my body, my gut just needed more support than it needed previously in my life, which was a really interesting thing in the midst of hormone changes and everything. So it's very multifactorial. But what we have seen, what we get complaints of a lot is that people have afternoon bloating, just feeling a little full after a meal, or feeling like they have this like bloated tummy. And we wanted to introduce an elixir. We like the elixir, or a tonic, or I guess we're calling this a gut health tonic, so that you can try to help clean up the bloat, right? And what I find so many of my patients talk about is that when they're bloated, they feel totally unsexy. Their sex life kind of goes into the tank. Like, and most people feel the most bloated at night. So it's something like people can wake up feeling kind of svelte or slim, and then they eat during the day. And then it's this progressive kind of, so at night they feel like this like bloat, and that it just takes us out of our like bodies at night. Especially, I'm such a big fan of sexual health and good partnership. So we want to introduce something that tries to keep that bloat down for you so that you feel really great and empowered in your body.
And it makes people feel heavier and slow and weighed down. So this tonic can help to battle that for you. We're going to fight that off for you.
So we're laughing because at this point now you're like drinking an elixir in the morning, drinking a big ass smoothie, drinking an afternoon tonic after your meals. And it might feel like a lot. And so you get to pick and choose. You don't have to do everything all at once. We don't do everything all at once, but you get to pick and choose. And drinking this gut tonic can be really helpful if you're sipping it when you're making your meal. It helps to kind of activate your digestion. Or after your meal, if you just want to make yourself a little something to have in the evening, this could be really helpful before you make your nighttime tea. So we are really increasing your liquids on this glow up.
And this replaces, a lot of people are doing apple cider vinegar and lemon juice before meals. This replaces that and superpowers it with probiotics. So this is better. This is like stepping up the level. And it really helps work with how your digestive tract works. Digestion is such a complicated business. Everybody learned it in high school biology class, but it really starts when you kind of like smell the food that it's cooking in front of you, and you start to get saliva, and that sort of brings this digestive function for carbohydrates. Actually starts in your mouth digestion, just like that. And so this really gets all your digestive juices going, so to speak. And that's something that as we age, it's a natural process of aging that we make less of these digestive enzymes, and this thing will get them going. So it's like working with how your body functions naturally is so much better than taking, what do people take, Hillary? Antacids. What are all these like Alka-Seltzer things? Like what are all those things in the drugstore that work for people's GIs? Most people don't need those. We don't even have those in our house. Like you probably, most people don't need those if they worked with how their digestive tract works naturally, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Pepto, like what is all that stuff?
I don't know. My dad used to drink like a half a thing of Mylanta every night after, like, it was hilarious. I'm like, Dad, I don't even know. I mean, I think he still does it. Like the blue bottle of Mylanta. He just used to
white, thick liquid, that stuff.
Yeah. And he would just like literally walk around chugging it. And I would be like, wait, what is that? I mean, it's so interesting.
But there are people listening now that have that stuff in their houses, and they're just dampening down symptoms constantly that your body's giving you a symptom to change something you're doing. So that's what we're trying to work with.
Okay, so we're talking about and introducing the world of fermented foods, and many of you probably already do this, but using sauerkraut and sauerkraut juice is a very potent way to help increase in the way that your microbiome, improve the way your microbiome's working, and to help feed the good bacteria in your gut. And so there's a very big difference between sauerkraut that you buy on a shelf in the grocery store and sauerkraut that's raw and alive that you buy in the refrigerated section. So the very first thing you need to know is that you need to be buying your sauerkraut in the refrigerated section. It should say that it's not pasteurized, meaning that it's an alive food. And that means that everything that's in the brine, that's in the brine, in the juice of the sauerkraut is alive and full of medicine. This is something that helps to activate the cultures in the cabbage. So that's what sauerkraut is. It's activated cabbage, fermented cabbage. So you're adding, you can ferment in a couple different ways. These are fermented without, it's not lacto fermenting, which is kind of how they do yogurt and everything. The sauerkraut's done in a different way. Our favorite lady I'm just going to put her book up because it's so awesome. If you really care about making, if you want to try to make fermented foods, this is called Fresh and Fermented. And her name is Julie O'Brien. We need to have her on again. We did a whole series with using sauerkraut juice-based smoothies and mocktails. And it's
remember that olive tapenade
thing?
We
made the most amazing olive tapenade. Yeah.
It's great because you can use the fermented foods in your other foods, which, you know, I hadn't really thought about till we got that cookbook and met with her.
Me either.
So this really recipe, well. Yeah, it's so cool. Like this recipe we're sharing with you today, you could use sauerkraut, but you could use any of those fermented foods in the grocery store section in the refrigerator. Say you like beets and you're thinking that the brine of the beet is going to taste better for you. Or I really like the green beans. Do you have the green beans at your grocery store? I love those.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and the carrots, and then a lot of them.
Evelyn, could you do that Fresh and Fermented in the comments for us by Julie O'Brien? She's this adorable lady that is based in Seattle, and she's so fired up. And you can order a lot of the products from her website of seasonings of how to make fermented foods. So making it's kind of next level. Where I live in Marin County, California, there's like a million great companies that have them in glass jars. I happen to have one in plastic right now that's, at Costco has a good refrigerated sauerkraut. So, you there's places to get it. Just don't buy the one in the jar that's next to the mustard and the relish, because that's not the same thing. That's not
only for hot dogs.
That's only if it's sitting out a barbecue. That's not what we're talking about. Yeah. But what we recommend adding a couple, like a serving of fermented food. Now, when you start using fermented food and you haven't used it before, start slowly. If you have too much at once, you're going to create bloating. So you just start slowly. But in my house, I usually have a couple jars of sauerkraut or something fermented so that it's used as an accent. And it just brings that tangy. It pairs very well with meat. It helps meat get digested and broken down. It pairs very well. But should we get into the cocktail or we're calling this a tonic? Okay, so because an elixir helps to make you feel amazing. A tonic helps tonify some of the tissue. So
a tonic is supposed to be used over time to really nourish, repair, and get the function out of whatever tissue you're targeting. So we're targeting the GI lining today, and this is the tonic that Hillary's going to make for you.
And you get to totally play with your proportions. But what we learned using this cookbook and experimenting was when we added, Julie will add sometimes a forkful of sauerkraut to her smoothies or sauerkraut juice, and it's amazing. It leaves this kind of like, it's a very interesting taste. It's not gross at all. It's
not
really interesting. And so mixed into tapenade and stuff, it's delicious. And we're using it a little bit to drink. So
I always think of sweet tarts when I have that, because my smoothie will be berry and then there's like a after tang, and I do like sweet tarts. So it kind of
sour.
It's like that sour in there. Like I do. I mean, I haven't eaten sweet tarts in a long time, but I like that combination. It's sort of like the peanut butter and the jelly a little bit, like that salty kind of thing.
We know you're just hoarding candy in your closet, in
like my pockets. It's gonna like fall out all the wrappers or whatever. But so I think I was actually emptying out one of your children's suitcases and there were wrappers in it, just so you know.
Oh, I love how she throws me under the bus. For Kara, the best offense is defense is a good offense. No, it's true. I have candy hoarders. My kids, I have one, my third.
It made me laugh. I was dying.
Oh my God, there's always little wrappers. There's like a wake. I don't know. I think it's because she grew up in Spain, and she just grew up with people giving her so much candy. Like that's their love language for children in Spain. And my daughter spoke perfect Spanish, but she looked like this little angel with like cheeks and blonde hair. So the Spaniards were like, who is this? And they would just hand her candy, massive volumes of candy. It's the love language. So it influences your microbiome. Anyway, this is sauerkraut juice, and you get to just play with the proportion. And ideally, you would have a bunch of ice in this, because I think this drink is going to be better iced, but my ice maker is broken and I can't seem to get it fixed. This is fresh squeezed lemon juice. And so you just use a little bit of lemon juice and a little bit of sauerkraut. So this is quite sour. So this is the place where if you want to add a little orange to sweeten it. I like sour and I like bitter, and I'm trying to break, like I said, my Aperol habit. So then this is just Spindrift grapefruit, or you could use a plain like San Pellegrino and use more citrus, but that's pretty much what it looks like.
And I like that glass. Your glass is perfect for this because it's not so much. You know, it's not like you're drinking a huge drink. You're just having a little bit.
You guys, like a tonic, it's like a small amount, and you want to sip it. This is not to chug. This is like to sip over time when you're making dinner for your family, or to sip over time when you're cleaning up dinner, just to help the digestion. So it's this really, the sauerkraut juice gives this it lasts. It's this lasting flavor. It's not gross in any way, even though it sounds so barfy.
But I also think it's really good for your teeth, and your mouth and the mucous membranes there, because it sort of tightens everything up. And a lot of you and I have been doing a lot of research on longevity, and we're really looking at, health of this whole lining, this GI tract lining, which is the same as in your mouth, all the way down all your tubes. So it'd be interesting to see if people have less canker sores, less, inflammation of their gums, less bleeding when you're flossing and stuff. If you drink this on a regular and do that tonic, I think that would be where people see it, along with the, not as much bloating.
And you're just going to play with it. Like, I'm a fermented food eater. So that means that I can handle more fermented juice than if you don't eat fermented food. And this is new, you do not want to overdo the fermented juice. You always start at a quarter dose and then work up really slowly. There's no rush. And it's a little bit like tolerating cold in your cold shower or anything new that you're starting health-wise. It's so great to look at the recipe, and if you're brand new to it, have it or quarter it and slowly work it in, just to give your gut microbiome a little bit of a chance.
And Hillary, people are going to ask, can I do this instead of take my probiotic? Because whenever we teach with probiotic foods, people always ask that.
It's a yes, and you're going to drink this and take a probiotic. You're going to do this, and probiotics are it is one of the gateways into our longevity and health. And finding the right probiotic is definitely a mystery. We've been working on it, or, for many people feel confused. There's a lot of confusion, and we will do a much longer class on probiotics, but I think probiotics are something that people should be eating. And I think probiotics are something that people should be taking. Do I religiously take one every single day? No, I mean, not all the time, but it's always in my rotation, always for a couple of weeks. I take them before going on vacation, if anybody's getting sick. I'm religious. There were studies that showed that children who take probiotics or are born from a mother who takes probiotics are significantly at reduced risk of getting a gastrointestinal virus. And I have to tell you, I have 3 kids who all went to daycare, grimy ass daycares.
Those are the good kinds.
We're so would get GI sickness. And I have to tell you, I've never picked up throw up from one of my children. Not once. It's amazing. And I'm like, that has to be because I was such an intense probiotic user from med school, and my kids always had probiotics. So it's just it's the gateway to our health, our gut. It's the entry point that that all of our nutrients come through. And it's the majority of our immune system that's blocking infections from coming. So,
and when we travel and go to conferences, because we meet each other at various conferences throughout the year, and we go to a lot of them, we always have our probiotics that come in these packs, right? So it's shelf stable. You don't need to refrigerate it. And we pop them out. So we'll be in a conference just sitting there, and we'll be, because we like to snack. We're having like last time at the conference, we were having almond butter packs. We're having almond butter packs and an apple. And then we were, and we had oranges too. And then we were taking our probiotics with it, because those packs are so easy to travel with, because then we feel like our immune systems are getting a boost. And if we eat something, often when people travel is when they get like traveler's diarrhea. It's a real deal, and we know that taking those probiotics blocks that. So we are kind of religious when we travel about those probiotics. We go and we take them. And for my family, it's like, a bunch of them, we go through a lot of them, but it does prevent us from getting sick. Now, I will tell you that that when we had I got COVID at a wedding once, and I would not have known I had COVID. The whole wedding, I think, got COVID, but I don't think I would have known, because I had never had COVID. Like, I didn't get it at my clinic. I never had it for it was like 2 years into the pandemic that before I got it, I just started throwing up. I was just like vomiting for days. And that was my expression of COVID. And I don't think I had the probiotics with me at that wedding. Like, I can't remember popping them again. I think I was really distracted at that wedding.
Yeah. I mean, it was a distracting wedding for you. There was a lot going on. And after you got COVID with the vomiting, it shifted your microbiome so much that you, for the first time, tested positive for several food sensitivities, like dairy, things that you can regularly eat.
I've done, I can't even count how many of those tests I've done. And mine was like, all of a sudden I had GI problems all of a sudden. It was unbelievable. And so I had to I'm glad I did that test. I'm so glad we did that group, because I didn't know, it was just like our nutritionist here too did it with that group of the food sensitivities. And I didn't know.
What probiotic am I taking right now? Kara and I made a probiotic that we love. It's Cultivate Fertility's probiotic. Yeah. You don't have to be trying to get pregnant to take it. We're not trying to get pregnant, and it's our main probiotic. It's shelf stable. It works brilliantly. We have a code right now until tomorrow. The Gut Glow, she's so cute. Gut Glow 25, and you get 20% off of our probiotic. So I would just grab a couple boxes. Kara's office will pop them in the mail. And because they travel so well, they're shelf stable. There's a coating on it that gets it past the stomach into the low intestine. Kara's been working with this.
That's the big deal though, right, Hillary? Like, don't you think that's the difference? We're always like, why do these probiotics work and people notice them? Whereas other probiotics, it's sort of like, you're supposed to take it. So you take it, but you don't notice. When people run out of these, we hear back from people, my bloating came back, my mood, I don't have as much energy. My acne came back. It's like your stuff comes back when you kind of run out of those, and no other probiotics I hear that about. And so the reason we have it in the fertility line, is that those strains are so well researched that actually you can trace it back to these people took it in pregnancy. So we don't want to give people anything in pregnancy that we don't think, okay, we know this is going to be okay for, we feel really good about this. And those strains were researched in pregnancy. But really for immune system, gut health, metabolic health,
hormone balance, but they don't have to be refrigerated. No. Charlotte, do they have to be refrigerated? No, that's the amazing thing. They're shelf stable, and they're very potent. This is a 30-day supply. I recommend people, when they're trying a probiotic, if it's new to you and you haven't used a probiotic, do it every third day for the first week. Then transition to every other day, then every day. Sometimes when you're introducing new things, it can disrupt your microbiome. So introduce it slowly, and then you want to stay on it for a good time, 30 days, 60 days, to see if this works for you. But we've had so much success with our patients with it.
I know. It's kind of amazing. It's been like 10 years we've been using those. So it's really quite interesting to see that it's the thing that people say, oh, and I ran out of my probiotic. And it's kind of like,
it's also great. These are great strains for if you have female issues, if you battle with yeast or yeast infections or some of the changes that come frequently with hormone changes. It's a really good probiotic for that.
Yeah. Hormones and probiotics are quite linked.
So you guys try the tonic. Well, first, if you don't have a sauerkraut, that's the first move. You got to go grab your sauerkraut in the refrigerated section. Whole Foods should have it. If you're in Marin, the Good Earth has like an amazing selection. Just don't buy the one that's on the shelf. Buy the one in the refrigerated section. And then you just use a small amount of the juice with lemon or orange. And then for me, I like a little bitter, a little flavored bubbly water, but you could use Pellegrino or any kind of bubbly water. That just the effervescent makes it feel a little bit more special. And then just play with it and tweak it and just slowly introduce it into your life and watch you glow from the inside out. It's a really great medicine.
All right, go probiotics. Everybody needs them in constant supply because we're getting them killed by breathing the air.
It's true. And if you're using any kind of hand sanitizer that's killing bacteria, you want to make sure that you keep putting good bacteria in your body, right? Mm-hmm. So antimicrobial hand stuff, if you're in a job where you have to use it all the time, like Karen and I are in medicine, we're having to use it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Keep putting probiotics in. Anyway, peace out. Have a great Monday. Bye, everybody. Bye.